evening. Good evening. Welcome.
No, but I mean both sides of the agreement. Great.
Yes.
Hello, friends. We're going to get started. Thank you all for being here. Good evening. Welcome. Thank you for joining us all tonight here at Saugus Town Hall. My name is Stephanie Shalkowski, and along with Ann Devlin, I am co-president of the Saugus Action Volunteers for the Environment, better known as SAVE. Founded in 1973, SAVE's mission is to promote a better quality of life in Saugus through environmental concern and action. So tonight, we have a long-standing tradition, a public service forum where residents hear directly from candidates for the Board of Selectmen as they share their views on both emerging and ongoing environmental issues facing our town. This program is being broadcast live from Town Hall on Saugus Cable Television, and a recording will be made available in the coming days. We extend our thanks to the team at Saugus TV for their support, to the Saugus Garden Club for offering flowers and refreshments, and to the town manager for providing this space. And now I'd like to introduce tonight's moderator, Joyce Rodenheiser, and our timekeeper, Al Rodenheiser. Joyce is a former SAVE president, and both she and Al are founding members of SAVE, and they are deeply committed to our community and shining examples of people who make Saugus a better place to live. With that, I invite Joyce to begin and share the framing for tonight's forum.
Thank you, Stephanie. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening.
I would like to thank SAVE for inviting me to act as moderator for this event. I know we all look forward to an informative and interesting evening, and I would ask you all please to silence your cell phones. As background for attendees and those watching at home, this year Saugus has 9 candidates seeking election for a seat on the Board of Selectmen, and you will meet them as we go along. Candidates have been seated randomly in accordance with a drawing prior to the start of this event. The agenda for tonight will include an opening statement by each of the candidates. We will then proceed to several rounds of randomly selected questions dealing solely with environmental issues, and with a short break after the second round of questions. A final question will then be asked of each of the candidates. Following will be a closing statement by each of the candidates. The time allocated to each candidate for his or her opening and closing statements, the time is 2 minutes. For each of the randomly selected questions and the final question, each candidate will have 1.5 minutes to respond. The SAVE timekeeper, Al, here beside me, will hold up a placard alerting the speaker as to how much time they have left to finish their remarks. We ask each candidate to be respectful of the time constraints and limit your remarks and responses to the time allocated. We request this in order to fully complete the agenda and still have some time for those attending to mingle and speak personally with you. We'll now begin with each candidate's opening statement. Again, we ask candidates to respect the 2-minute time allocation for your opening remarks. Mr. Michael Serino, you may begin, please.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. My name is Michael James Serino. I'm a graduate of Saugus High School and the University of Massachusetts. I want to thank SCTV for televising this forum tonight, and I'd like to thank SAVE, our leading environmental organization in Saugus, for sponsoring this also. They provided over 50 years of environmental help to the town, and our community is a much better place to live in because of your leadership, and I want to thank you for that. My environmental record includes former chairman of the Conservation Commission, former chairman of the Open Space Committee, member of the Town Meeting Landfill Committee, a longtime member of SAVE, and a member of the Conservation Law Foundation. In closing, I've always been a steadfast advocate for our environment and I certainly welcome the opportunity to share my thoughts with you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Serino. Mr. Federico.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you. Thank you to SAVE, and thank you to Saugus TV for hosting tonight's forum, and especially everybody here this evening and at home trying to stay engaged in our community. My name is Frank Federico, and I'm running for selectman because I care deeply about the direction of our town. As a resident and small business owner here in Saugus, I've seen what works, and I've also seen what hasn't worked. I believe in keeping the traditions that built this town while improving upon them with transparency, accountability, and willingness to adapt. That also means protecting our environment, keeping our air and water clean, preserving open spaces, and ensuring any growth that we pursue is done responsibly and sustainably. We can have progress and economic opportunity without sacrificing the health of our residents or natural beauty that makes Saugus a great place to live. I want to help lead Saugus that's business-friendly, fiscally responsible, and environmentally conscious, a community that plans smart and protects what matters most. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Federico. Mrs. Panetta.
Thank you, Mrs. Moderator. Hello, my name is Deborah Panetta, and I am delighted to be here. I want to first thank SAVE for hosting this important environmental forum. I live at 1 Bellevue Street, and I am married to Mark Panetta. I have 2 children, Mark Jr. and Sabrina. I earned my bachelor's degree in accounting from Suffolk University and my master's in business administration from Northeastern University. I also received my project management professional certification. I have over 40 years of experience working in finance, accounting, and strategic planning. Along with serving as your Saugus selectman for the past 14 years, currently as chairman, I also serve as the president of the Saugus River Watershed Council, board member of the Saugus Business Education Collaborative, member of the Historical Society, the Women's Guild, the Garden Club, past president and current member of SAVE, member of Conservation Law, the Alliance for Health and the Environment, and the Sierra Club. I am honored to have been endorsed by the North Atlantic States Regional Council of Carpenters Local 339, the Sierra Club, and the Environmental League of Massachusetts Action Fund. I am also a 2-time recipient of the Grassroots Leadership Award from Clean Water Action for Environmental Excellence. I've also served as the chairman of the Saugus School Committee, as a town meeting member for 10 years representing Precinct 5, vice chair of the Saugus Charter Commission, member of the Master Plan Advisory Committee, secretary of the Cliftondale Revitalization Committee, and on the Tree Committee for 12 years. Giving back to our community through volunteering and participating in community events is something that I strongly believe in. It's important to mention that Saugus boasts a AA+ stable bond rating by Standard & Poor's, the highest in Saugus's history, which is saving taxpayers millions of dollars. With our finances in good order, we can have a better focus on environmental concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Panetta. Mr. Souza.
Thank you, moderator. So my name is Sandro. Good evening, everyone. I would like to begin by thanking SAVE for hosting this important forum and Saugus Television for making it possible for those at home to join us tonight. Most importantly, thank you to all of you who came out, not just to listen, but to engage, to challenge us, and to remind us that we're not alone caring for this town. Your presence tonight inspires us, and I say this to myself first, to keep working together for the good of all who call Saugus home. So I'm a father, and I'm a husband. I have an 11 years old kid. I'm also an entrepreneur. I'm a lender in 6 states, and I'm a broker in 2 states in the United States. I've been in the mortgage business for a long time, and I enjoyed being here in the town as well. Now I'm serving as a treasurer for the Saugus TV, which I'm proud to as well. So Saugus deserves leadership that protects our health, our open spaces, and the natural beauty that makes these towns home. So my vision is simple, to make environmental responsibility a shared priority for the entire board, not just one selectman. Together we can protect our wetlands and rivers, preserve green space, and hold all operations, including wind waste, to the highest environmental standards. We can expand recycling and composting, investing in clean infrastructure, and teach our children to care for the land they will inherit. I believe in teamwork, transparency, and accountability. No one person can solve the issue alone, but united as a board. And ensure that every decision considers the health of people and the future of our town. Because we work together, Saugus wins. Cleaner, stronger, better for generations to come. So my name is Sandro Pensini, your third candidate on the ballot for selectman.
Thank you, Mr. Souza. Mrs. Dion.
Thank you. Good evening, Saugus. My name is Jennifer Dion, and I live in Cliftondale with my husband, Tom. We have 2 children, Allie, who turned 23 today, and my son, Jake, who's 18. I'm also the proud owner of a 4-year-old German Shepherd named Chief. You can't hear me? Can you hear me now? Okay. To summarize, I live in Cliftondale with my husband, Tom, and we have 2 kids, and we have a German Shepherd named Chief, and he'd be so proud to see me here right now. I'm a longtime Saugus resident and a dedicated public servant. I've always believed that protecting our environment is essential to preserving the character and health of our town. And Saugus is blessed to have natural beauty from the Saugus River to Braycott Reservation. We must all work together and collaborate to preserve these resources and ensure that they remain vibrant. If elected to the Board of Selectmen, I will advocate for policies that preserve our open space and wetlands, promote sustainable growth, prepare for climate changes, and collaborate with other boards such as the Garden Club and the Tree Committee, anything that we can collaborate on to make our town more beautiful. Environmental conservation and stewardship is not a partisan issue. It's a community responsibility, and I take it seriously. I'm running for office once again to ensure that Saugus remains safe, healthy, and a beautiful place to live. Thank you for your support. I'm listed number 1 on the ballot this year. Thank you. Thank you, Save.
Thank you, Mrs. Dion. Mr. Vincent Serino.
Not to be mistaken with Mike. Thank you. Thanks, Save, for having this tonight. I appreciate it, and I appreciate all you do for the community. I know you guys have been around a long time, and you've done a lot of great things, and I'm sure there's a lot more coming. So, good evening, everyone. My name is Vincent Serino, and I'm proud to be running for a seat on the Board of Saugus Selectmen. I'm a lifelong resident of Saugus, born and raised here, and now I'm raising my own family here as well. My wife, Julianne, a teacher in Saugus school system, and I have 4 children who all graduated from Saugus Public Schools, as well as 4-year universities, and have gone on to successful careers. This town has given so much to me and my family, and I'm running to give back, and to help lead Saugus forward with experience, transparency, and a deep commitment to our community. That is environmentally as well as financially. I've served on the school committee for the past 6 years, the last 4 as chairman. During that time, I've worked with town officials on municipal budgets, educational programs, and long-term planning. I've also owned a small business and currently serve as Executive Director of Sales and Marketing for SWB, giving me both public and private sector experience that I believe is valuable at the Selectmen's table. Most importantly, I'm an independent thinker. I believe in listening, finding common ground, and always doing what's best for the residents of Saugus. Whether it's improving public safety, supporting our schools, or encouraging smart growth, I'll work hard every day to make decisions that strengthen our town now and in the future. Thank you, and I look forward to the conversation tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Serino. Mr. Cogliano.
Thank you very much. When I first ran for selectman, I didn't need reading glasses at all. Now I'm at a 3.0.
Yeah.
Nobody loves this town more than I do, and I do my best to prove that every single day. I was first elected to the Saugus Board of Selectmen in 1991 and served for 10 years. After that, I stepped away to focus on my family. My wife, Teresa, and I raised 4 wonderful children, Cassandra, Gabriella, Sophia, and Anthony Jr., and now we're blessed with 2 beautiful granddaughters, Luciana and Layla Cross, both 6th-generation Saugonians. That legacy keeps me grounded and reminds me every day why I serve. I take this position seriously and work hard to make Saugus the best it can be. When it comes to the tough issues, especially on the environment, I've always believed in working with people, not against them, and that approach has paid off. Wind Waste now attends every meeting of the Board of Health and responds to issues immediately. Communication is always the key. I also played a major role in creating the Wind Waste Landfill Committee, so Saugus is prepared should the state ever allow an expansion of the ash landfill. The committee developed and the Board of Selectmen approved a host community agreement guaranteeing no tipping fees for 30 years, which would save the town an upwards of $40 million while requiring major facility upgrades, new air quality monitors, and lower NOx emission levels. My long-standing belief has always been that what comes out of the stack and released into the air is far more important than the height of the landfill. The harsh reality is, if and when the landfill closes, the plant will continue to operate. Yet Saugus will receive no economic benefit from its presence without a signed host community agreement. I'm also proud to have led the Hillco development project that brought the new PS facility on Route 107, one of the largest environmental cleanups in our town's history. We transformed a polluted salvage yard into a modern facility that created hundreds of jobs, and soon a beautiful river walk will open for residents to enjoy. My family lives in and will call East Saugus our home. The safety and well-being of my family, friends, and neighbors continues to be my top priority. I love this town and respectfully ask for one of your 5 votes on November 4th so I can continue working hard for you, the citizens of Saugus. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cogliano. We've had a request to pull the microphones right up to your mouths, if you would, please. People are having difficulty hearing, and they would really like to know what you're saying. Thank you. Mr. Ciccolini.
Thank you. My name is Jeffrey Ciccolini, and I'm a candidate for re-election to the Board of Selectmen. I am an honors graduate of Saugus High School, and I graduated magna cum laude from Salem State University in 1994. When I joined my firm, a.k.a. CPAs, we're a 400-person CPA firm located in Westboro and Boston, Massachusetts. I've always been environmentally aware. However, in the past decade, I've become significantly more aware and passionate and outspoken about protecting our environment, our people, and our earth. In today's fast-paced society, everyone is trying to do everything more efficiently and effectively, and unfortunately, sometimes the impact on our environment is not taken into account. Protection of our environment and the natural resources is imperative in order to make sure our future generations can enjoy the air we breathe and the land we occupy. Education needs to start as early as possible for our children, from renewable energy, solar farms, and the importance of capping landfills, to promoting recycling and encouraging the purchase of energy-efficient household items such as appliances, toilets, and hot water heaters. There are countless ways for our residents to partake in the protection of our environment and natural resources. If re-elected, I would like to continue to work with our town manager and our recycling coordinator to explore items to further our stance as a green community. It includes looking into the possibility of single-stream recycling and continuing to update our facilities to more energy-efficient platforms to gain further levels of LEED certification. I'm number 2 on the ballot, and I would appreciate your consideration of one of your votes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ciccolini. Mrs. Herman Durant, please.
Hello, my name is Stacy Herman Durant, and it's my pleasure to be here this evening. My husband Joe and I have proudly called Saugus home for the past 20 years. Like you, we've built a life in this town, and we're deeply invested in its future. Professionally, I work in university administration. I hold an undergraduate degree in communications and a master's degree in higher education administration. I have experience leading teams, managing budgets, and solving complex problems by listening first and acting thoughtfully. I will bring these same skills to the role of selectman. I currently serve as a town meeting member with a perfect attendance and voting record. I also serve on the Zoning Board of Appeals, and I'm a proud member of the Saugus Garden Club, SAVE, Bike to the Sea, and the Saugus River Watershed Council. I've also served on the Affordable Housing Trust. I believe that every person in Saugus, regardless of where they live, should be guaranteed the same fundamental rights to clean air and a healthy environment. That's why I'm proud to have been endorsed by the Environmental League of Massachusetts Action Fund. Protecting our environment and character of our town requires a forward-thinking approach. My environmental vision for Saugus includes automating trash and recycling bins that have lids to reduce litter, organizing precinct-based community cleanups, hiring a part-time environmental grant specialist, holding wind waste to admission standards with no landfill expansion, using data from our new DEP permanent air quality monitoring station, and protecting our open spaces. Thank you, SAVE, for giving us the opportunity this evening.
Thank you, Mrs. Herman Durant. So now we will choose questions from the fishbowl, and I would encourage you to use your best cheerleader's voice so everybody here can hear your answers. Thank you. Let's see, 1.5 minutes, please, on each of these. So, Mr. Michael Serino, Revere just started a pilot program for curbside composting of food waste. Would you support looking into a similar program for Saugus?
I couldn't hear your question. It was about a vibration. What was it about food waste?
I'm sorry, I have my mic too close, do I?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll try this better. Revere just started a pilot program for
Okay.
curbside composting for food waste. Would you support looking into a similar program for Saugus?
Yeah, what I first would have to do, food waste is a big concern. I know up in New Hampshire, their food waste takes up about 25% of their landfills in New Hampshire. But you would have to actually do okay. Can you hear me now? Yeah, the acoustics in here aren't that great. But yeah, food waste is a big problem. I know up in New Hampshire, about 25% of the landfills up there are taken up by food waste. I would have to, before I could even give you an answer, I would have to do a study and see the cost of getting rid of food waste for the town of Saugus. I would assume it's going to probably be in the millions, but I know it is a big problem, and it's something we're going to have to do something about it sooner or later down the line. But you know, the state, they like to implement these programs at the last minute, like the mattress program, and then they tell the towns that, you know, you're on your own. That's not certainly the right thing to do, but that's what I would do for food waste. We'd have to do a study first to see the pros and cons regarding that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Serino. Mr. Federico, as a selectman, would you support or take steps to initiate a pilot program similar to Swampscot's, which uses rodent birth control methods instead of more dangerous rodenticides that can harm children, pets, and wildlife?
100%. So I myself have a dog who is nearing 11 years old. That's always been the main concern for me as a pet owner, that he may ingest a pesticide or rat poisoning, and you know, hopefully we'd be able to get him to the vet in time, but at that point you'd be racing against the clock. So a program or an initiative like that would definitely be something I would like to look into. I would also like to see the effectiveness of that. As many of us know, rodents do carry disease, so I wouldn't want to substitute something that's gonna not be as efficient and potentially progress disease in our community. However, if it is equally or more effective, it's something that I think that we should highly consider, and it would protect residents as well as pets and the animals in our society. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Federico. Mrs. Panetta, Saugus previously received $100,000 from Massachusetts Gaming Commission Community Mitigation Fund earmarked for tree purchase, planting, and maintenance only. The town had 3 years to plan and expend this grant money. Are you aware of the current status of this grant or the plans for specific expenditures within the 3-year time frame?
Thank you very much for the question. Yes, I am aware of this $100,000. In fact, I asked Scott Crabtree, our town manager, about it just the other day because I was talking to the tree committee chair, Nancy Pragg. The money is earmarked for new trees, and it's earmarked for a plan. As Nancy and I discussed, we really need to use that money, come up with a plan of what trees need to go where. We have to be very careful with street trees and where they're planted. So what Scott told me was that he's still coming up with a plan, he's still working on it, and he does want to meet with you and to have that discussion on the $100,000, because we are nearing in the 3 years. We're 2 years in right now. But trees are very important. We do have our shade bylaw in town, inventory of our trees. People want to live in a community that flourishes with trees and flowers and shrubbery. It makes our community a home. So I am looking forward to seeing what we're going to do with that money.
Thank you, Mrs. Panetta. Mr. Souza, because of the impact on our limited open space, is it time for another moratorium for building apartments and condos in Saugus?
When I look at the apartment issue, it is more, you guys can hear me, right? Okay. I'm going to eat this mic then. Yes. My main concern is what are we doing with our spaces and building more apartments? Who are we wanted to do with that? What do we wanted to do with those apartments? Bringing more people in. Will that bring more business? Will that bring what to Saugus? I would really like to see what benefits our town would have with bringing more apartments in. It's not just about builders that wants to build apartments, wanted to make it better, wanted to make it a more appealing town than other towns. To me, it's about what do we want with our town. I would like to hear everyone speaking about it. If I get selected and I'm with the other selectmen, I want to see what do they have to say too. To me, it's not what I want. It's not what I think myself. And I know it might sound rhetoric. It might sound like I don't want to take a position, but I'm not the type of person that takes a position on my own, on myself. That I think that I am someone that will make it, and that's going to be my way. As people has been working with me at the TV, they know me by now that I collaborate, I speak about it, and I wanted to know what others has to say on the same subject. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Souza. Mrs. Dion, should Saugus adopt zoning changes that would require building in areas prone to flooding and to be designed to flood resistant standards?
So the question is,
The question again, should Saugus adopt zoning changes that would require building in areas prone to flooding and be designed to flood-resistant standards?
I think that when it comes to building anywhere, you don't want to build in a flood zone. So I think that careful in considering zoning laws, why town meeting voted on them, why we put them in that way, we should definitely always adopt to not put anybody in the flood zone. So if that is the question, that is my answer, that we should be very careful and consider about where we decide to build. I don't think you should just build just anywhere because there's open space. Thank you for the question.
Thank you, Mrs. Dion. Mr. Vincent Serino, do you support the establishment of a swap center at the Charm Center or other location to keep still usable goods out of the waste stream? Yes? Do you support the establishment, is that better?
Yeah.
Of a swap center at the Charm Center or another location to keep still usable goods out of the waste stream?
So I think, like anything else, you need a microphone.
That's cheerleader's voice.
Yeah. So I think, like anything else, you really need to take a look at it first and study it, right? How is it going to benefit the town? And where are we going to go with it, right? You need a long-term plan. I can say yes now, and something happens tomorrow, and it changes the whole perspective of what's going on. I would support a swap right now, but I think I need more information as to how's it going to benefit the town, how's it going to benefit the citizens, the cost associated with it. I think like anything, you need to have an open mind, and you need to take a look at the big picture. But when we look at something, we can look at it as, this is what we project tomorrow, but I think we need to look 5 years. I think like any plan, whatever you're going to do, You need a 5-year, you need a 3-year, a 2-year, a 1-year. You need a plan, and you need to keep being able to move on that plan.
Thank you, Mr. Serino. Mr. Cogliano, do you support establishing a curbside composting program in our town? And would you support allocating a dedicated budget to ensure its long-term success?
I would absolutely support a curbside. Can't hear? I'm sorry. I would absolutely support a curbside recycling program. You said recycling, correct? Like anything else that we do, we have to have the money to do it. We have to, look at someone else's plan from another town to make sure how they did it, if it's working. All these ideas are great, but if we can't institute it properly, it could be a loser for us. Financially, everything has to work. I'm not sure that curbside recycling, it's something that we've done. I mean, we've been doing curbside recycling for years, so instituting it is not nothing new. We already have one. They take our recycling every couple of weeks, and it's not every week, but they do it every 2 weeks. So I'm not sure what the success rate of it is now, but certainly I'm sure we can get better doing with our recycling. Again, it's something that we've instituted years ago. It's working. To the success rate, I'm not sure. It can always be better. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cogliano. Mr. Ciccolini, what role should the town take to protect undeveloped land that abuts a wetland? And as selectman, what specific actions would you take?
Thank you for the question. So I think first thing you'd have to look at is the land itself. It would obviously be some type of a zoning bylaw change, supporting town meeting if they were to put in some type of a zoning bylaw that would require specific actions to protect building in land that abuts the wetlands. I personally feel as though oftentimes when companies or individuals build so close to a wetland, oftentimes it causes issues anyway. Issues for the town. We have brooks that abut houses now, and the brooks get backed up, and they have rodents, and they have mosquitoes, and et cetera, and it's often falls on the town to have to clean those areas and protect, the residents that abut the areas. So I think if we looked at it creatively with engineers and with our health department, and along with presenting to town meeting, we could adopt some type of restriction that would require a certain amount of distance away from what we have for standard now, working with conservation and the health department to come up with a more distant restriction for areas abutting wetlands to make sure that they don't encroach those areas. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ciccolini. Mrs. Herman Durant, as selectman, how would you seek to encourage local businesses to consider energy conservation as part of the S2 permitting process?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? The S2 permitting process?
As selectman, how would you seek to encourage local businesses to consider energy conservation as part of the S2 permitting process?
I'm not super familiar with the S2 permitting process, but I think that we can always encourage business just as to conserve energy, just as the town has received grants to upgrade all of the lights, et cetera, to make them more energy efficient. So I would look to programs that possibly could do that for business as well, and maybe any incentives that could be given by the town for our area businesses.
Thank you, Mrs. Herman Durant. So now we'll begin our second round of randomly selected questions. Mr. Michael Serino, in addition to recent energy efficiencies already achieved by the town, what, if anything, would you as selectmen propose to enable our town to further increase our energy savings and reduce its energy use and associated costs?
Well, the town has done a lot over the years. We have the Charm Center down at the DPW. We have our weekly recycling program. We have our solar panel farm on the 4-acre DPW site. We've done LED street lighting. We've changed all the, we own the street lights now, so we put all LED bulbs in there. We've redone our buildings to, for LED lighting, all of our town buildings. We have an emergency management system that controls the heating and air conditioning system. And we have electric vehicles. We have 2 for the engineering department at the DPW. We get the tree planting program. We have our open space. We have the rail trail, the deck down at Lobsterman's Landing, and the Riverwalk, which is part of the deck down there. And we were designated a green community in 2015. The only thing I can see that we can improve on is our electric vehicles. I think only having 2 is not enough. I'd like to see an improvement in that area. I think we should increase it to more electric vehicles. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Serino. Mr. Federico? In what ways can the Charm Center be expanded to reduce solid waste being sent to Wynn?
So I think you actually touched upon this a little bit earlier, potentially including a swap center. As some candidates had mentioned, though, we do need to do an analysis of that to see what that actually entails for the town, cost-wise, staffing, things of that nature. But I would like to see the Charm Center include something, maybe more materials going through there, such as, you know, being a contractor, my mind always goes to construction material first. So there's been multiple times when I've taken out kitchens and things of that nature where the cabinets are actually still in really good condition. They just may not fit the vision of my customer. So maybe donating cabinets, somebody else could reuse those cabinets, essentially keeping solid waste out of the landfills should be the #1 goal, and I think we could achieve it by essentially, you know, one person's trash is another person's treasure. So I'd like to definitely investigate the swap center more.
Thank you, Mr. Federico. Mrs. Panetta? Many communities are moving away from rodenticides due to the unintended harm they cause to pets and wildlife. Would you support alternative approaches to pest control in Saugus? And what role do you see the town playing in that transition?
Thank you for the question. I actually went to the Board of Health meeting and asked that very question because that's who we need to work with. I know in Malden they have cages that they catch them as opposed to using the roadside because, as was mentioned earlier with a question, you don't know if a mouse eats the pesticide and eats the poison, who's going to eat it after? There's going to be wildlife, your pets. And we've seen eagles, two eagles that they were tracking died because of the pesticide. It's a huge problem that we have, and we really do need to look at alternatives. And I will keep going to the Board of Health, asking for them for their advice. I think it's very important that we always look for alternatives, because if we don't, again, we're seeing a lot of wildlife dead on the road. Our pets are dying. It's a huge problem. And just, I have a minute left. The other thing I'd like to see done with the $100,000 is I'd like to see some revamping of the tree farm. I went down there the other day, and it needs a little bit of work. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Panetta. Mr. Souza. Many residents are concerned about the continued sale of Roundup, given potential risks to pollinators, pets, and human health. How would you address those concerns while also ensuring people have access to safe, effective weed management options?
Would you mind repeat the question, please?
Many residents are concerned about the continued sale of Roundup, giving potential risks to pollinators, pets, and human health. Roundup?
Yes, I'm familiar with the word. I'm sorry.
That's all right. How would you address those concerns while also ensuring people have access to safe, effective, and weed management options?
Okay, Roundup, pesticides for plants. Is that what it is,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure that I know what we're dealing with. I think it aligns what we heard, the two candidates here. It's every time that we poisoned not only our lands, but anywhere that it can get in contact with animals or anyone, that has been already shown that it's not a good thing. And I was agreeing with our candidate here that animals coming in and eating after other animals and just being poisoned as well, and seeing that chain of action, it's not something that I would support whatsoever. So I would say we need to do something about it, for sure.
Thank you, Mr. Souza. Mrs. Dion, do you feel that Saugus businesses have been held accountable in complying with the plastic bag and styrofoam ban, and why?
Thank you for the question. I do believe that Saugus businesses have been compliant with the plastic bag and changing over to paper bag that Ann Devlin brought to us quite a few years ago. I remember how hard she worked. Whenever I shop, I bring my own bags to just reduce my own waste, my own footprint. But everywhere I go, they offer me a paper bag. I've not seen in Saugus plastic bags unless a business had a bunch that they had to use up so they could start using the paper. But I feel like the businesses have been compliant with that in my shopping experience.
Thank you,
Thank you for
Mrs.
the
Dion.
question. You have a good night.
Mr. Vincent Serino, what resources are being put towards supporting the planting of more street trees across the town, and do we need more focus put towards this?
So I think we were talking about the tree farm and the tree committee, and I think that's a great start. I think we need to get more aggressive in planting of trees. My neighbor just had a tree taken down in front of her house. The tree needed to be taken down, but I think what has happened since me and my wife and we moved into our neighborhood, we've had several trees taken down and none replanted. And I think we're missing an opportunity because as we continue to build as a town, we're stripping resources. We need to really focus on putting resources back, whether it's trees, whether it's plants. They add to the environment. We're talking about pesticides. It's crazy. My wife taught me, bring more bats in. They eat more insects. So I think we need to plant more trees, and I think we need to do it aggressively.
Thank you, Mr. Serino. Mr. Cogliano, what are your thoughts on the balancing act in Saugus of developing the town but also preserving natural spaces?
Oh, sorry about that. Great question. When developers, you can't prevent people from building on their land. And I think we have to learn as a town, we need a town planner, we need an economic development coordinator, and we need to work with developers. I think Saugus, that's our biggest downfall presently. We don't have those people in place, and we have very difficult working with developers. For an example, the 40B project that's on Route 1 behind the Palumbo property. That owner tried to rezone that land for 2 straight years at town meeting, and to no avail. He was going to build an Alzheimer's hospital on that property. And because he had no luck with the town, he was forced to go 40B, and that property is going to be a 40B development now. Same thing as Wayloose. We don't communicate, we don't work well with our business, with our development community, and that's what we end up stuck with. Things that we could do better if we had people in place and priorities as to what we wanted in this town. If we had a planner and an economic development coordinator, we would be so much better off. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cogliano. Mr. Ciccolini, how do you yourself prioritize environmental concerns in Saugus?
Can you repeat that?
I will. How do you yourself prioritize environmental concerns in Saugus? How do you prioritize?
Okay. Thank you for the question. As I noted in my environmental statement, I feel as though my actions do speak louder than words. I own several properties in town. All of my homes, rental or the home that I live in, which we built 7 years ago, contain energy-efficient appliances, water-saving toilets, water heaters, and furnaces. We have an electric vehicle in my home, and I have an EV charger attached to the side of my home as well. I also have worked hard to promote recycling in town. I think that's been very important. My wife is really big on recycling, and our kids from a very young age have learned the importance of recycling and sticking to it and making sure that the right things go in the right barrels. And I also feel as though I was a strong proponent for the fog policy, and I'm very proud of the fact that since I've been on the board, we have issued 0 waivers of the fog policy for grease traps and things of that nature. So I expect that to continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ciccolini. Mrs. Herman Durant, as Saugus transitions to using larger toters for recycling, do you believe this change will encourage greater recycling participation? How do you think it could impact the amount of trash tonnage the town sends to the incinerator?
Thank you for the question. I think we all get frustrated as we walk our neighborhoods after trash day when it's windy and trash is everywhere. It drives me insane, and I go around picking up trash all the time. So I don't think there's an argument that we need lidded trash bins that are automated. I sat on the trash committee, not a very glorious committee to sit on, but I sat on the trash committee where we looked at automating our trash bins and to make them larger so that people had the ability to recycle more. So I think it will greatly impact our ability to recycle and help ease for our residents. So I support the new lidded trash bins to help in our recycling efforts.
Thank you, Mrs. Herman Durant. Let's take a 15-minute break. Let's reconvene at 7:30, please.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
They do one round of questions and the
Right.
closing statement.
One more question, kids.
They're good questions, though. I like these questions.
I get my little notes.
Peter found out this free food.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Let's begin. For the final round of questions, I have 3 questions. I will read one, and we'll have the first 3 candidates answer that. I will read the second one for the second 3 candidates, and the third one for the last 3 candidates. Thank you. And may I remind you, we need to use our best cheerleaders' voices, and you need to put that microphone as close to your mouth as you dare to. Thank you.
Thank you.
And turn off your phones, right. Thank you. Mr. Michael Serino, as selectman, how would you balance the need for revenue versus the need for open space protection as Saugus continues to move forward?
I tried, years ago, I tried to get the town meeting members to pass the Preservation Act in town, and that would charge homeowners, when you sold your house, 3%, the buyer would have to pay the 3%. And that money would be put aside for open space, to purchase open space. That fell through at town meeting. That was my push on that, and I've been thinking about it the last couple of years about trying to go back to town meeting and get that approved again. I know it's been a lot of the law has been changed since and been adjusted to how much you can charge when a house is sold, but I think that's the best way. Or the town, I think, like when I was chairman of the Open Space Committee, the Berthold property, the farm property, I was chairman of the Open Space Committee. They wanted to sell the farm, 22 acres. I tried to get the Board of Selectmen at the time to purchase that because the town had first refusal rights for $1.5 million. $1.5 million, and the selectmen and the town manager, this is about 20 years ago, wouldn't approve it, and I think that was one of the biggest mistakes this town's ever made. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Serino. Mr. Federico, I'll repeat the question for you. As selectman, how would you balance the need for revenue versus the need for open space protection as Saugus continues to move forward?
I would look at a two-pronged approach for that. I think the first thing we need to do is look at the properties that have already been developed throughout our community. A prime example of that would be Square One Mall. Everybody in town can see what Square One Mall was. I grew up as a kid there going to Square One time and time again, and it's no longer has the luster that it did when I was a child. So we could look at something like that, look at how we can redevelop that property without actually expanding the footprint of a developed space. The second approach is we need to attract quality businesses that will come into town. Unlike, for example, Bin Bounce, which didn't last too long, if we bring in quality businesses to town, they will redevelop the buildings that are already situated on Route 1, already situated throughout our communities, without going into undeveloped land. So I definitely think a two-pronged approach would be the most economical approach for us, but also the most logistical.
Thank you, Mr. Federico. Mrs. Panetta, as selectman, how would you balance the need for revenue versus the need for open space protection as Saugus continues to move forward?
Thank you for the question. As we all know, the commercial tax rate in town is significantly higher than the residential, and that keeps our taxes low in Saugus. So commercial is important. Development is going to happen no matter what, but we need to work with the developers in order to have the green space and the open space that is required. An example of this, now, developers come before the Board of Selectmen for an S2 permit on height, but most of the time they're going to have to go to the Planning Board or the Board of Appeals if they want to get something, if they're looking to create a new development. So if we use the Hilltop property, for example, there was supposed to be additional open space. Only 8% is commercial, and then they have a pile of residential in the back. It was supposed to look like marketplace. Yes. So I think we need to ask as a community, and as the developers come in, more questions, ask for more greenery. A lot of times when they go to the planning board, they're asking for shrubbery, specific types of trees, because we want to keep as much open space as possible. And lastly, with my 15 seconds, there is no intention to sell the closed schools that we currently have. Sure, we could sell them and get additional revenue, but it's important that we have that open space for the whole community, young as well as old. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Panetta. Mr. Souza, our community's quality of life is directly impacted by various environmental factors. As selectmen, describe how you would use your policy-setting authority to preserve and protect air and water quality for Saugus citizens.
I believe that it's not only important, but we're living in a town, and we want the air quality to be the best quality that we can have. So I would support anything that we can do to make it better, especially with the trees that we can put in a town, make it in a way where we can have a better quality air. So I guess it's what I said before too. It's not just one person opinion and one person saying what we can and what we can't do. But one thing that I can say is that I will support all the candidates when we become selectmen to go and have a cleaner Saugus moving forward, a greener as well.
Thank you, Mr. Souza. I'll repeat the question, Mrs. Dion. Our community's quality of life is directly impacted by various environmental factors. As selectmen, describe how you would use your policy-setting authority to preserve and protect air and water quality for Saugus citizens.
Thank you for the question. When you are a selectman, you have a very unique opportunity to work with your delegation, your state delegation. So you come to the table, and when concerns are brought either from the public or you have your own, you collaborate with who you can, the Board of Health, your state representatives, even sometimes anybody that can help you get anything better for our town. So with the air quality and the water quality, there are groups that do dredging, and I know Deb knows a lot about this. She's on the Saugus River Water Council, but it takes a team, people working together to make things, put in policy for cleaner air. We had the air quality control over at Wind Waste. That was a whole, initiative that was done, checking to make sure the air quality was good, and then we clean up the river. I think it's once a year, but when you're a selectman, you work with other groups of people to get these things done. It takes teamwork, it takes time, and sometimes it takes funding. So as a selectman, that's how I would work. I'd work with others to get these kind of things done. Thank you for the question.
Thank you, Mrs. Dion. Mr. Vincent Serino, a community's quality of life is directly impacted by various environmental factors. As selectmen, describe how you would use your policy-setting authority to preserve and protect air and water quality for Saugus citizens.
Yeah, so the first thing I would do is do a real comprehensive study as far as air quality and where the air quality is lacking. I'd spend the time to take a look at businesses that aren't meeting the standards that we set, that the selectmen set as far as the quality of air, the quality of water. I would take a look at that. And then secondly, the big thing is policy. Let's have policies in place to hold people accountable. The people that aren't doing the right thing, the people that aren't doing the right thing for the community, the businesses that aren't keeping the air or water clean. I mean, the town makes investments in tide pools and things to keep the water clean. We look at open spaces like Pranker's Pond. I'm there all the time. We need to take a look at, is that water being kept clean? So I think as a community, as a board, policy is a big thing on making sure both air and water are clean.
Thank you, Mr. Serino. Mr. Cogliano.
Thank you. Well, I think my record is clear on that.
I'm sorry, we got it the third question
new
for
question?
the third.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Take the other one.
I know.
You can answer the other one.
Here's the answer.
So
I'm
question.
going to answer that one too, so.
Question number 3. Wind Waste can currently meet emission standards by purchasing carbon credits rather than reducing pollution at the source. How do you think this approach affects public health, environmental justice, and long-term climate goals?
Again, these are issues that the DEP sets and allows them to buy those credits. I think one of the things that I've shown and was a leading force on was bringing Wind Waste to the table to provide a better quality of air for the neighbors, especially around East Saugus, the residents of Revere and the residents of Lynn. The agreement that we put in place with them would lower the NOx level from where I started when I got back on the board in 2019, the NOx level was 205. They can get it down to 170, and the goal would be to get it down to 150. Open lines of communication are what brings those things to fruition. They were looking for an additional height on the ash landfill, which nobody wants. But if the state were to give it to them, Saugus would have the mechanism in place to lower our air quality, bring much money into the town, that right now we're shipping 70% of our ash out to Shrewsbury, and they're making $1 million a year on it when that $1 million could stay here. My philosophy, again, it's not what comes out of that, it's not what goes into the ground, it's what comes out of that stack. And lowering the NOx level is of utmost importance, especially to the residents of East Saugus. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cogliano. Mr. Ciccolini, I'll repeat the question for you. Wind Waste can currently meet emissions standards by purchasing carbon credits rather than reducing pollution at the source. How do you think this approach affects public health, environmental justice, and long-term climate goals?
Thank you for the question. First of all, I think the option of purchasing credits should be abolished. I don't think it should exist, and I've made that clear publicly several times. I think because they are the oldest incinerator and because they are not at the latest and greatest technological standards, they have no choice but to purchase credits in order to continue to operate. I wish the state would take a hard stance, eliminate and abolish the ability to purchase carbon credits, make these companies use their capital dollars, they're making billions of dollars, invest in bringing that plant up to modern day standards to make the NOx levels what every other incinerator is complying with. I think that's critical. The host community agreement that we talked about, that the previous speaker spoke about, was merely an insurance policy. It's an insurance policy because we have lost trust in the Mass Department of Environmental Protection. They've issued 9 extensions to date. What's to make us think they're not going to issue a 10th? The Board of Selectmen doesn't approve it. People want to say they'll waive it as a thing in front of the governor to show approval. Well, guess what? That was 2.5 years ago. They haven't waived anything in front of the governor because they know it's not going to get approved through the governor. The bottom line is carbon credits should not be purchased. They should have to comply with today's standards, invest the money in the plant if they want to continue operating, and take it from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ciccolini. Mrs. Herman Durant, I'll read the question for you. Wind waste can currently meet emission standards by purchasing carbon credits rather than reducing pollution at the source. How do you think this approach affects public health, environmental justice, and long-term climate goals?
Yeah, thank you for the question. If the incinerator continues to operate, they should be required to meet all existing emission standards without buying credits. That should not be allowed. The incinerator is over 50 years old, and the lifespan of most of those facilities are 25 to 30 years old. It's been plagued by shutdowns, malfunctions on a regular basis. We all remember the major incident in 2023 where the residents were panicked, not knowing what happened there. Like an old car, we have to make when we have to make a decision, either we invest in our car and it passes inspection, or we say it's lived its life and it's time to get a new one. I think that the plant should be shut down or made to meet all existing standards for the plant. The Saugus residents should not be subject to lower emission standards than any other community in Massachusetts. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Herman Durant, and thank you all for your thoughtful answers. We will now have your closing statements, please, up to 2 minutes from each candidate, and we'll begin with Mr. Michael Serino.
Over the next 2 years, Saugus will continue to face important environmental challenges. Most importantly, the 50-year-old wind trash incinerator that cannot meet emission standards, that cannot be retrofitted to meet emission standards, that is allowed to buy emission credits from other clean burning facilities in the state. Clean air in some parts of the state, but pollutes Saugus. The wind landfill, a 1950s toxic ash unlined landfill. The landfill is scheduled to close at a height of 50 feet. Some support allowing a landfill height of 100 feet for a one-time payment of $20 million, resulting in a 100-foot high landfill with no development opportunities and no further economic benefit to Saugus, further harming our environment. The Town Meeting Landfill Committee proposes to develop the landfill at 50 feet, resulting in a potential $5 million a year in property taxes forever and no further harm to our environment. Overbuilding of apartments on Route 1 increases pollution in Saugus and in our neighborhoods. I authored zoning changes that reduced apartments by 50% and increase open space requirements for these developers. These zoning changes will reduce pollution in Saugus. My environmental track record is clear. I'm chairman of the Conservation Commission, former chairman of the Open Space Committee, Town Meeting Landfill Committee, longtime SAVE member. I ask for your consideration on Election Day. My name is Michael James Serino. I am number 5 on the ballot, and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Serino. Mr. Federico, please.
Once again, I'd like to start with thanking SAVE for hosting this forum tonight. I think it's extremely informative for the residents of town, especially for newer candidates running like myself for the first time for selectmen. Thank you also to Saugus TV for all the work they do behind the scenes in order to broadcast this throughout our community so that the residents at home also have the opportunity to tune in. I wanted to run for selectman on quite a few talking points that many other selectmen have mentioned before: transparency, accountability. But for me, those aren't just talking points. Those are things that really will impact our town. For instance, bringing forth credible and reliable information, bridging the gap between government and our community. I've heard all too many times, I would have attended this event, I would have attended this hearing if I had only known about it. And the more eyes we can put on any problem in town, the better of a solution that we can come forth. So this November 4th, I ask you humbly for one of your votes for selectmen, as I guarantee you I will work tirelessly and nobody will outwork me in order to make Saugus a better place. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you for tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Federico. Mrs. Panetta.
Thank you. I have always been a champion for the environment. I'm proud to support Representative Janino's House Bill 959, 955, and 958 regarding incineration and salt marshes. I've attended numerous wind waste tours, forums, along with Mass DEP and Board of Health meetings to address the issues surrounding the plant and its unlined ash landfill. We are the host community of the oldest incinerator in the nation. The landfill was originally supposed to close in 1996, and clearly they cannot comply with all the emission standards. And you already heard they have to buy emission credits, which isn't fair for us. I've supported programs and policies that will provide Saugus residents with disposal options, such as our Charm Center and additional access to the compost site, so that Saugus residents will have an opportunity to reduce their waste rather than face a trash fee, something I've consistently opposed. I've also supported Saugus's designated green community program, where we have received approximately $1 million in grants, along with supporting the Board of Health's grease trap regulation, solar energy project, and the Bike to the Sea trail development. I support the reclamation plan of the aggregate quarry. Over the last few years, we've built our parks, playgrounds, and recreation facilities. We recently made significant improvements in the Anna Parker Park, and we are working towards a new playground at Stackpole Field and the Golden Hills area. Over the next 2 years, I pledge to remain an environmental champion for all of Saugus. It is our responsibility to protect the environment for future generations. My name is Deborah Panetta. I am number 7 on the ballot, and I respectfully ask for one of your 5 votes on November 4th. I want to thank SAVE, SCTV, and I want to wish each one of my fellow candidates good luck in the upcoming race. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Panetta. Mr. Souza, please.
I want to say thank you to SAVE, Saugus TV, and everyone here tonight for caring enough to be part of this important conversation. What makes Saugus special to me isn't just our neighborhoods or history. It's the people who refuse to stop caring about where we live. I'm not here to rise above any of my fellow candidates here. I'm here to rise above anything that threatens the well-being of Saugus residents, of which I am one of us. As a father, a business owner, and a neighbor, I believe leadership is about serving people, not power. I want to bring renewed cooperation and energy to the Board of Selectmen so we can unite, not divide, around protecting our wetlands, improving infrastructure, and ensuring that every resident has a voice. Our environmental future depends on unity. No single selectman can fix every problem, but together we can make decisions that protect our families, our health, and the town we love. I'm proud to call Saugus my home, and I'm asking for your vote, one of your 5 votes, not just to represent you, but to represent us. Let's build a cleaner, safer, stronger Saugus together. I want to say thank you, and may God bless our town and everyone working to make it better. So my name is Sandro Pancini Souza. I'm running for selectman, and I'm at the number 3 on a ballot. Thank you. Thank you for the candidates here on this table too, and for the opportunity that you shared with me.
Thank you, Mr. Souza. Mrs. Dion.
Thank you. Thank you, Saugus Action Volunteers for the Environment, for holding this forum tonight. Thank you, SCTV, for airing it. Thank you to the people who came, and thank you to the people at home watching. If I am elected selectman, to the Board of Selectmen, I'll always consider the environmental impact of my decisions, and I will make sure that they are within my authority. I will uphold all bylaws, regulations, and laws. I will never knowingly violate these. I will advocate for green initiatives and community collaboration. I'll look into the feasibility of expanding the Charm Center and our recycling program. I would ask the Saugus Police Department and our recycling director how we can deter and reduce instances of illegal dumping that happen in our town. I want to thank you all for this opportunity to be present with you, and thank you for consideration on Election Day. That's November 4th. That's my 50th birthday. And thank you. I look forward to serving the town of Saugus if you do elect me. I want you all to have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Dion. Mr. Vincent Serino, please.
I just want to say thank you to SAVE, and I want to thank everyone for this tonight. Thanks for being here tonight, and thanks for the time and being involved in this. So Saugus was designated a green community by the state back in 2015, so it has a long history of environmental growth. But growing up in Precinct 10, we can do better. There's things that need to change. You know, we talk about when it's the oldest facility in the country, but it still goes on, right? And I don't want to be here in 2 years at a SAVE thing talking about the same thing. We need to do something to make change. So as someone who's lived here my entire life, raised a family here, and served our town in multiple roles, I care deeply about where we've been, where we are, and where we're going. I bring experience from 6 years on school committee, leadership as chairman, and a background in business that gives me a broad, balanced view of how our town operates. But more than titles and role, I bring a mindset of listening, collaboration, and putting the people of Saugus first every single time. I don't believe in politics or personal agendas. I believe in smart decisions, community input, and doing what's right. I would love the opportunity to work with the town to protect public health, clean water, clean air, as well as reducing flooding and support local environmental development. I respectfully ask for your vote and your trust to serve on the Board of Selectmen and help move Saugus forward together. My name is Vincent Serino. I'm number 4 on the ballot, and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Serino. Mr. Cogliano, please.
I drove Vinny to high school every day.
Yellow Mustang.
I'd like to thank SAVE, Saugus Action Volunteers for the Environment, for hosting this candidate forum. I also want to thank my colleagues on the Board of Selectmen. We don't always agree, but we always agree to disagree. With one goal in mind, the betterment of Saugus. I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize my dear friend and colleague, Corrine Riley, for her many years of dedicated service to our community. Corrine stepping away leaves a huge void, but as you can see tonight, there are many great candidates with new energy and fresh new ideas to fill it. A wise man, Richard Dick Barry, who I looked up to as a kid and had the honor of serving with for 6 years on the Board of Selectmen, always opened this forum by saying, "There's no substitute for experience." It was true then, and it's true now. I've served through the great times, the hard times, and the uncertain times, and I've always given it my best. This time, however, will be my last time. Let's make it the best time for the people who matter most, our families, our friends, our neighbors, our children, for Saugus. I'm Anthony Cogliano, and I respectfully ask for one of your 5 votes on Tuesday, November 4th. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Cogliano. Mr. Ciccolini.
Thank you. I, too, would like to thank SAVE Madam Moderator, SCTV, and everyone who played a part in putting together this important forum. I feel it's a valuable forum, and it's important for our residents to be able to gauge each of the candidates' environmental awareness and commitment to environmental protection. It's been an absolute honor to serve as one of your selectmen for the last 10 years. If re-elected, I will strive to continue to move our town forward financially, operationally, and I'll remain focused on the importance of environmental protection and enhancements. I am very proud of the progress we've made over the years, specifically in continuing with the enhancement of so many of our parks, playgrounds, and open spaces. As I said, I am a proud fourth-generation Saugonian. I am committed to continue to focus on doing what's right for the town. I've proved that I can work collaboratively. I've served with several members on different boards, and I feel like we do have the ability to always agree to disagree and do what's best for the town, and I see that continuing. So that I do ask that you consider me for one of your 5 votes on November 4th. I'm Jeff Ciccolini, and I'm number 2 on the ballot. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ciccolini. Mrs. Herman Durant.
Thank you. As a candidate for selectman, my vision is one rooted in preparedness, sustainability, and a deep respect for the character of our town. I understand preserving our open spaces and mitigating environmental impacts are essential to building a thriving community. I believe in preserving our small town feel while supporting smart growth. I support thoughtful development that reflects our town's values. As selectmen, I'll ensure that we issue licensing and permits responsibly, always asking, is this right for Saugus? I believe also in being financially responsible. I'm committed to protecting our strong bond rating, which saves taxpayers millions of dollars that can be redirected towards preparing our infrastructure to meet environmental challenges. We must continue to make smart, sustainable financial decisions for the long term. I believe in equal access to emergency services and public health. Clean air, safe neighborhoods, and reliable emergency response should not depend on where you live in Saugus. That's why I voted as a town meeting member to fund a feasibility study for the fire station on the west side and supported the creation of the town meeting landfill committee. We are all stewards of the environment, and it is our responsibility to leave the next generation a more sustainable and healthier Saugus. I'm not just a candidate, I'm your neighbor, a homeowner, taxpayer, and a parent who cares deeply about our community. I respectfully ask for one of your votes on November 4th. My name is Stacy Herman Durant, and I am number 8 on the ballot. Together we can protect what makes Saugus so special. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Herman Durant. And we want to thank each one of you sincerely for taking part in this panel this evening so that people will know your stands on the environmental issues. We also want to thank you for serving our community as what shall I say, willingness to serve as on the Board of Selectmen. We appreciate that. SAVE President Stephanie Shalkowski will now make some final remarks.
Thank you all again for being here. Thanks for everyone who's watching at home. Thanks to everyone who's going to watch the recording of this important night. Before we close, I just want to share a few upcoming SAVE events and ways to stay connected to SAVE. Hopefully some of our viewers at home are interested to join up with us. On October 20th, we'll have a general membership meeting at the Saugus Library. New members always welcome. And then on November 17th, we are hosting an educational program on reducing plastic waste. We have a guest speaker, Andrea LaCroix, and that's also going to be at the library. Like the candidates said here tonight, we encourage everyone to get out and vote. Election Day is Tuesday, November 4th. Our voices matter, and we hope tonight's forum helps all the voters in Saugus make an informed decision. To learn more about SAVE, visit our website, saugussave.wordpress.com, or you can find us on Facebook. Thank you again for being part of this really important conversation. Have a wonderful evening. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Everybody get your tickets out.